Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Tuesday, October 6th, 2015, around 7:07 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. Sun went down. It's dark. Don't really like the getting dark around before 6:30 and stuff, and it's about a month away until the sun goes down at 4:30 and daylight's saving times, and it's standard time, and it's not dark, and it's everybody goes to work in the dark and comes home in the dark. That's kind of sad and a little depressing during the winter months. Anyway, some news to report. The Boston Celtics beat Olympia by the score of 124-91 in an exhibition game played in Milan, Italy. The Celtics are playing a couple of exhibition games this year against Italian teams and stuff. They play again Thursday. St. Clair Broadcasting has announced the new digital over-the-air television network for sci-fi shows will be called Comet TV. And an original name. That's pretty good and stuff like that. And also, the Miami Marlins have one more little news bit. They're going to pull the fences in for the 2016 seasons because there has been a lack of home runs at Marlins Ballpark. Only 412 home runs since the park opened in 2012. The Marlins need to get good talent to have a great team and stuff. They don't have to move fences in and stuff like that, in my humble opinion. That's about it on the news. My third and final video blog subject of tonight is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is about the franchise Shane Douglas, a famous professional wrestler who has had a long career in the world of sports entertainment. He's known for all your wrestling fans for being in ECW a very long time, holding the ECW world title many times, also having the triple threat, and he's had other success as well. Shane Douglas's real name is Troy Martin. He was born and he grew up in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and he actually went to school for political science and philosophy, and he wanted to really become a doctor, but he fell in love with professional wrestling and stuff, and he was trained by Dominic DeNucci, a wrestling legend and stuff, and Troy actually began his professional wrestling career in 1982, wrestling in Independence in the northeast part of the United States to pay for his schooling. He was once billed as Terry Orndorff, the fictitious nephew of Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. There was an urban legend that that Shane was somewhat related to Paul Orndorff, like an older brother or like a nephew or a cousin, but they're not actually related, period, and stuff. But that's been an urban legend. And also like when Shane was wrestling earlier in his career, he did some TV job matches for the WWE, wrestling under the name of his real name, Troy Martin and stuff. In 1987, he went to the UWF, used the name Shane Douglas, and he got a decent push and stuff. He won the UWF TV title briefly, and then for the rest of the 80s, he bounced around in a few independents. In 1989, Shane Douglas went to WCW. He teamed with Johnny Ace. They became the Dynamic Dudes and stuff, and they had Jim Cornette as an advisor and a manager. That they eventually feuded with the Midnight Express. That Jim Cornette went back to the Midnight Express, but it was a long running feud. But Shane did not really like the politics of WCW. Also, he did not get along with Nature Boy Ric Flair. And in 1990, Shane left WCW, and later on in the year, he resurfaced in the WWE, but he was relegated to TV matches and stuff. He did not get too much of a push. but he lasted 27 minutes in the 1991 Royal Rumble. Around this time, Shane's father was like dying, and he took care of him, and eventually for a couple of years, Shane actually left professional wrestling to become a middle school teacher. In 1992, Shane returned to wrestling for WCW. He became tag team partners with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They became WCW and NWA World Tag Team Champions for a few months. Eventually, they lost to the Hollywood Blondes and stuff. Steve Austin and Brian Pillman, and Shane proposed an idea to the booking committee of WCW, saying he wanted to eventually turn on Ricky Steamboat, turn heel for the first time of his career. But the bookers on the WCW booking committee at the time says that the fans wouldn't buy you as a heel, so Shane got mad at that and left WCW in the middle of 1993. And he goes to ECW, which was then Eastern Championship Wrestling. He had long hair, but he cut it short. He was a face at first, but eventually he turned on Tommy Dreamer and became a heel for the first time. And then he aligned himself with Paulie Dangerously briefly to be part of the Dangerous Alliance. And then Shane was cutting a lot of promos and stuff, which was pretty good. Eventually he aligned himself with Sherry Martel as his valet manager. Shane became one of the great heels in professional wrestling. He became ECW World Champion. He had a triple threat match with Sabu and Terry Funk in February 1994. That was the line was crossed. It was a pretty good match and stuff. And Shane was becoming giving out great matches and stuff, and becoming more and more on the heel work with the microphone. In August of 1994, Shane won a tournament to be crowned the new NWA World Champion, but he had a memorable speech, and then he looked up to the skies with his father, and he put the NWA title down, saying he was not the man for a promotion that died 7 years ago. And then he grabbed the ECW belt, saying this was the championship wrestling belt. And then that's when ECW became Eastern Championship Wrestling became Extreme Championship Wrestling. Shane was ECW World Champion until April of 1995. He took on all comers. He took on the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, Terry Funk, Sabu, Chris Benoit, Tully Blanchard. He briefly formed the first triple threat with Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko and stuff. When Shane Douglas dropped the ECW World title to Sandman in April 1995, he was negotiating at the time with the WWE to go to the leader of sports entertainment. Shane signed with the WWE, and in July of 1995, he was given a gimmick. It was a Dean Douglas. It was a gimmick for his school teaching and stuff like that. During the weekdays, around this time, Shane was really a legitimate school teacher, but he gave that up to go to the WWE. And then the Dean Douglas gimmick was he was grading all the WWE superstars, giving them grades and stuff. It was a crazy it was a stupid gimmick in my humble opinion. Why couldn't Shane go into the WWE as the franchise? And then Dean Douglas feuded with Razor Ramon, and he beat Razor Ramon at a pay-per-view. He was slated for a long run with the WWE Intercontinental title against Shawn Michaels at an in-your-house pay-per-view, but allegedly Shawn was beaten up by 13 members of an army in Syracuse, New York, the week before, and HBK had to forfeit the title to Dean Douglas at the pay-per-view in your house in October 1995. I think Shawn did not want to do the job to Dean Douglas, but Dean loses the belt the same night to Razor Ramon, and then a few months later, Dean Douglas leaves the WWE. He just could not stand the politics with the clique and stuff, and then he goes back to ECW as the franchise Shane Douglas, and this run from 1996 through 1999 was probably the best for Shane Douglas with promos and stuff. His work in the ring was getting, you know, a little downward because he sustained a lot of injuries. This is when he had like Francine as the head cheerleader, as a valet. He also had like some emotional angles with Pitbull #1, Gary Wolf, that he legitimately broke his neck on a chair, like giving the DDT to the chair. And then there was an angle where he took the halo and stuff like that and shoved him down and stuff, which, you know, Pitbull #1 was okay at that point. He didn't really need the halo, but they were just building Shane Douglas as a vicious heel and stuff. Shane Douglas had a long running of the TV championship. Eventually he became ECW World Champion and held that belt on and off from the August of 1997 through January of 1999. He formed a triple threat with him and Primetime Brian Lee and Chris Candido, and eventually it was Bam Bam Bigelow who took Primetime Brian Lee's place, and then they also had Lance Storm in it for a while, but then they replaced it with Bam Bam Bigelow. Shane Douglas, you know, also like defended his title all comers for ECW for the world title in the second win, like Al Snow and Rob Van Dam and Sabu and others and stuff. And Shane Douglas was like actually sidelined for a while. In 1998 he actually became a color man for Joey Styles on ECW television stuff. But this was around the time when the checks were not getting, you know, not coming on time for like Shane Douglas, because Paul Heyman was basically a one-man show, and Shane Douglas got mad about that. Eventually he dropped the ECW World title to Taz in January of 1999 after a couple of months build up a good feud with that. And then Shane Douglas turns face and he was mentoring Tommy Dreamer, but he was owed so much money to by ECW and Paul Heyman, $16,000 allegedly, that Shane Douglas eventually did not show up for one ECW show, and he just decided to go to WCW. And at WCW he was part of the Revolution with like Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit, and Perry Saturn, but eventually that group turned heel and stuff, and then Shane Douglas was involved in so many angles and storylines that were stupid and stuff. He was hardcore champion, he was US champion, he had like Torrie Wilson as his valet and stuff. When WCW closed in March of 2001, Shane Douglas was out. He could not go back to the WWE again. Then he started like independent promotions for a while, and in 2003 he wrestled for TNA. Eventually he became like an announcer for TNA and stuff, but he left there because he had some drug and alcohol issues and stuff. But he's been clean since 2006, and now Shane Douglas still wrestles from time to time, and for a long time Shane Douglas actually was a manager at Target in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. That's right. A professional wrestler who was once on television worldwide gets relegated to managing a Target store and stuff like that. Hey, he needed a job and stuff like that. And, you know, it's not the glamorous job, but, you know, he has to put food on the table for his family and stuff like that. And other stuff. A lot of people in the wrestling industry laughed at that when they saw Shane Douglas become a manager of Target, because at one time he was going to wanted to go to medical school, and he eventually ends up like managing a Target and stuff. But you know, you gotta have hats off to Shane Douglas, Troy Martin, because you know there's not too many jobs available in professional wrestling anymore, and he kind of a little bit burned his bridges with WWE and stuff, and also, you know, TNA, and there's not too many places, so he asked to take a full-time job. But, I applaud him for that. And that's about it on the franchise St. Douglas. And that's about it on these video blogs, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for tonight. Tomorrow, you're going to get 3 more video blogs. First video blog will be about the first ever NHL Power Ratings for the season. I'm going to be doing the Power Ratings, the top 10 for Power Ratings for the NHL every month during the NHL season this year. Tell you who's on the list. The second video blog will be Week 5 NFL predictions. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about former ECW announcer Joey Styles. Oh my God! And keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Button guy. Molly Rosenblatt, Fox 35 in Orlando, Florida, rocks and has nice legs, and she has a new Facebook page, Molly Rosenblatt, meteorologist, so like that. Amy Swenzy, so stunning and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart's the best and has nice legs. Ranks them up there with Heidi Pratt's and Julie Broughton's. And in the words of Ted Sarandos, former Sports Radio WEEI host, Boston College basketball is the best game in town. Wow! See you tomorrow, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Bye now.